Hello and welcome to ARK, the complete series. We're on Extinction and today we're in the snow biome because I want to start taming snow owls. I mean, I'm actually going to be looking for high level ones because the last time I played Extinction I found them to be the most versatile creature around. They're just so useful. You just got to have a snow owl. I mean, if you just want to go around on the map, they're very, very quick, but in this case, they produce the preferred food for gachas, and I do want to tame some gachas. They regurgitate snow owl pellets. So if you want to tame gachas, you really want to be using these snow owl pellets. But also, if you want decent loot from your gachas, you want to be able to feed them snow owl pellets. It gives them a buff. And so it's a case of I've got a lot of reasons for wanting snow owls, so hence the reason I'm out here to actually go and find some. So it's a relatively small area because we're just in a like a biome, if you will. I'll show you where we're actually at. Roughly 1682, right up in the northeast corner of the map here. What I've done is I've actually jumped ahead and I've built myself a trap because they're pretty easy to catch and tame. But it's a case of I've got to be extra safe because of this area. There's all sorts of nasties out here, to be honest. I mean, I don't remember, for instance, any Uties being out there. Last time I played Extinction, the Uties were out in the actual scorched earth desert biome. But I've since actually found some Uties around here. You've got Manigamas, you've got Daedons, you've got the direwolves as well. Yeah, they're just going to give you all sorts of grief. So, although I could just basically run around chasing these snow owls, because they don't take that many sort of like hits to knock them out. The trouble is, I don't want them to just land anywhere and then just get eaten, basically. So, I've gone to the trouble of making myself a trap in advance. Pretty simple one. I mean, I suppose I could have just used dino gates, really, and done it that way. But in this case, what I've done is I've put some fence posts down. And then I'm using these door frames. I used to use the actual windows, but I get a lot more coverage, if you will, to be able to hit these owls. And I must admit, it is quite fun because they're just constantly flying around from here to there. They don't stay still for very long. So it's always interesting trying to hit them. But either way, obviously, I've got to have a ceiling as well to stop it flying away. Because in my early days, I found out... I mean, you look at the size of them, they look kind of like similar size to like Rainbow over there, for instance. Now, she cannot get past a set of pillars. If I put pillars down, they'll snap into place. But while she can't get through them, a snow owl can. So, like, I used to basically have a pteranodon. I would bring a pteranodon through here, have the snow owl chase it, and then I would just fly out the other side with the pteranodon. But the trouble is, with pillars, well, yeah, the blooming snow owl just followed it out. So that's the reason why I've got these fence posts instead. There's the gap. It's a lot narrower, and the snow owl just can't get through it. Trouble is, neither can the RG. So it's going to be a case of I'm going to leave the RG here. So the plan is we're just going to go and aggro one of those snow owls. We'll pull it over here into this area. So I've left quite a lot of room here. I'll just get off Rainbow there, and I'm just going to shut the door. Now, I am using S+, so I could make my life easier. I could just have the door set to automatically close as soon as we go through, so it would automatically open and then close pretty much straight away once we're through. But I want to sort of like run it as if it was like the vanilla version, really. You don't get that luxury. You've got to manually open and close the door. So what I found, it's pretty easy anyway, to be honest, because what's going to happen is the actual snow owl will aggro onto Rainbow and it'll just keep badgering her while it's in here. That allows me to just basically run out and shut the door, and then I can just start tranking it. So that's what we're starting off with. Now, I'm being extra careful by having these spiked walls around, because although this area that we're in is pretty safe, I mean, I don't see that much around here. Or at least in all the playthroughs I've got happened. Every now and again you'll get things that can and cause you problems. You get in the way, shall we say. I have had actually one instance where a bunch of Daedons just suddenly turned up out of the blue and started giving me hassle. So for that reason I've just fenced the whole area off, and it's easy enough just putting the spike walls down. They don't cost much, easy to get the resources from even in this biome for them. But they tend to crop up around there, up there and down there. I mean, you get mammoths and whatever you'll wander through, and you've got your ankies and your megalosauruses, for instance, but it's very rare you get one of those managamas popping up. Yeah, they can give you some grief, I must admit, but normally, 99 times out of 100, it's very quiet up here. So that's the reason I've picked this specific area. Now, when it comes to actually taming them, it's a very, very straightforward process, like I say, just a case of getting their attention. Once they're aggroed onto you, they literally just stick to you like glue. And it's a case of, Yarja here, she can't outfly a snow owl. So once it just latches onto Rainbow, I've just got to basically just keep flying and heading in that direction, drag it into the trap, and that's it. The only thing is then actually trying to get a decent taming effectiveness. Now, you do get Ovis do actually spawn in this biome. You'll get some of them will spawn in the center, in Sanctuary, I think it's called. The trouble is that I'm finding I can spend ages trying to find an Ovis in this area, so for that reason I've gone all the way back to the island and I've actually got myself some kibble. Now that is their preferred kibble, but I'm going to run a test just out of curiosity. I'm going to test them with extraordinary kibble as well as with superior kibble, because in theory if I feed a dino a better kibble, I mean this is kind of like higher quality kibble than this is, for instance. If I give them this, it shouldn't matter. In which case, I can just get away with breeding Uties, and I've actually gone back to the island and I've brought a bunch of Uties across anyway, so I can start making my own extraordinary kibble. But the first thing to do is to actually find a decent snow owl. I mean, it's a relatively small area, of 15. It's a relatively small area, so worst case it's going to be flying around and just clearing them out, shall we say, get rid of all of the lower level ones, and keep doing that until we start getting pretty decent ones. I mean, I'm looking for anything from like 120 level upwards, and this is a 150 map, which is, I'd say it's kind of like what I would expect on the official server. It's not the default setting. You do have to put in a higher override difficulty of 5 to get a maximum level of 150, otherwise the default would be 120, but it is what's to be expected on the official servers now, whereas originally it was 120 would be a maximum dino. The only thing I've got to be careful of around here now is going to be the managamas, because they can give you a lot of hassle. They can literally freeze you, and that's cause you a lot of problems. There's also the Uties. I was surprised that I don't ever remember seeing Uties in the snow biome, at least not the last time I was across. There's no Carnos, and usually Uties and Carnos go together. The Utie, so like going down there. The Uties just basically bring the Carnos along for the ride. You know, they use them to achieve their aims basically. But no, I haven't seen any Carnos around here, so it's a bit odd, I must admit. But it's looking a bit quiet, I must admit, so I'm going to have to spend a bit of time just flying around, searching for these snow owls, and then I'll actually start dragging them back to the actual taming pen up there. So it looks like it's going to take me a while, but once I find something interesting, I'll bring you back. Oh no, that's handy. The bulldog here has picked up a max level creature in the area, and for once it's actually something I'm interested in. There's actually a 150 snow owl down there. It's just badgering that megalosaurus down there. I think I better get some stamina first. Actually, while I'm at it, I'll check if you won't pass it. Yeah, you are. But yeah, I mean, most of the ones that I've been finding tend to be like level 40 or below, which is not good to me whatsoever. Let me... Can I have that? I'm just stealing its food. So it's basically aggroing onto me. I mean, it's taken me ages to find something this high in level. I've had, I think it was a 145 that I found. And it was, oh man, it was just, it was battling against dire wolves, and then all of a sudden some Was it Daedon's joined in, and there was a Mega, a Managama joined in, and then it was just, that was just the finish when we got to, yeah, there was 2 corrupted Pteranodons joined in, and one of them got into a fight with the actual snow owl. And the trouble then, it was just crazy because they were going higher and higher and higher over the atmosphere, and I couldn't get any aggro off of them. But that's a good thing I like about these snow owls, is they just keep aggro. They just keep aggroing, they just keep on and on, and they just don't really grow. I mean, if you go after, say, like an Argentavis, for instance, you know, with a Pteranodon, you can outpace it. Same as if you know, try to use like a Wyvern against a Wyvern, but just your own tame outpaces your own prey, shall we say. The trouble then is it's a case of it's, you've got to keep stopping every now and then, just to make sure that, you know, whatever it is you're attacking is keeping up. Whereas in this case, it's just relentless. It's just, no, I'm coming for you. Now the thing I'm bothered about, I must admit, is I didn't realise, but I've been going around for ages here where Rainbow here, she's just got like a primitive saddle, and I can't believe it. I've been playing the game for that long, all the way going right the way back to the island, and I haven't got anything better than a primitive saddle for my Argentavis, which is crazy. So I really need to get something better for her. I mean, she's got a lot of health on her second, so it's not that bad. All the same, I'm just watching it going down, and it's like, yeah, this is not good. And I'm really glad I put those spike walls up. I ended up with a big pack of dire wolves starting attacking the place, so that will give me a lot of good. And I've been here for a while. I've now actually got a fire down the campfire because I'm just running out of food. Right, quick dash. Right, at some point, hopefully that'll go on to me instead of Rainbow. This is the trouble, it just keeps flying around and around. Oh, I won't hit her. I think that's the hardest part I find, is trying to hit the actual thing. Ah, there we go, so that's a 52. And the trouble is, they don't have that much health either. So there can be times where it's start to think, oh shit, I'm going to like cause too much damage here, but they're alright. Low level ones, you can go to the wire with low level ones, I must admit. So he seems alright. Actually, I didn't check. I don't know if it's a male or a female actually, because obviously I want a mixture, but I definitely need a male and a female. For one reason, it's not, even though I'm the one that's like causing the damage, it's not aggro not me for some strange reason. I would have thought it wouldn't by now. Oh, now you have it. Oh, that's better. Now the thing is, at some point it'll start to fly away. Oh shit. Hang on a minute. Hope you don't mind there. Yeah, at some point it's going to start to like get too much and it'll just go away somewhere. Yeah, we're off in the corner now. No, not quite. I tend to find it's like I've got to be a bit careful because at some point it's just going to suddenly zonk out. Obviously I don't want to hit it then. Oh, there you go. Right, so it's honked out. Right, I'll put that away. So, how badly are you? Ooh. Not too bad. Not too bad. Right, so what we can do, so 991, 1690, so it'll be interesting to see what we get out of this. Right, I'm gonna grab some meat off you. Just out of curiosity, see what we get. The food, I must admit, the food goes down quite quick, I've noticed, because I mean the choices are at this stage. I mean, ideally, this is what you want. You want kibble. This is the preferred kibble of the snow owl. After that, you're into things like mutton, for instance. But all this can be very difficult to find. What found is in the past is I've gone out looking for an Ovis. By the time I get back, their health is just it's not their health. Their food level is so low. You can just feed it the mutton and boom, you know, that's it. They're tamed up straight away. But yeah, you can spend quite a long time looking for that mutton. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here first. Next up, you've got your choice is actually something like Prime. And you can usually get Prime off these woolly mammoths, actually. What level is that? I think it's a lower level one. Level 30, I think that's just level 20, I think it's it. I mean, there's no rush to like starve that thing out and start with. I mean, the kibble lasts for ages. Whereas if you're using something like mutton or prime, then yeah, you'll want to wait. Let it starve out, because otherwise the trouble is, if say like you're giving it mutton, for instance, now mutton, I think it's about like 4.5 minutes or something. It really spoils quickly. Prime's another one. It spoils really quickly. So the trouble is, if that's still not hungry when you give it all this food, it's a case of, well, it'll spoil before it's eaten it all. So it's a case of you then got to go back out again and get some more. But it goes down pretty quickly. I mean, like I said, I tend to find that by the time I actually find an Ovis and bring it back here, it's actually down to about like half its food level. It goes down that quickly, I found. Well, it's either that or the fact it just takes so long to find an Ovis in the first place. I have found one in my travels so far today. It was way up on some mountain out in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, out of curiosity, I'm going to try this first. Oh wow, that was so quick. And it max tamed out on 2 extraordinary. Right. That was seriously quick, that. I mean, I must admit, on my server, I mean, I've got 6 times settings, but I wasn't expecting it that quickly. I mean, that's bizarre. They must eat a lot, which kind of makes sense, given that, as I was saying, that the food level goes down so quick. So they must eat at a much quicker rate than other creatures that I'm used to taming. So that went down with 2 extraordinary kibble. Extraordinary kibble, or extraordinary, however you want to pronounce it. You say it, even on me, this stuff's going to last forever and a day. So I'll do a comparison just out of curiosity and see what it's like with Superior. It shouldn't make any difference, to be honest. It's probably an unfair comparison, as I say, given my taming rates. I mean, it means the dinos, they actually tame a lot quicker and they eat a lot less. But anyway, we need to go and find another one. Speaking of another one, what is this actually? So it's a male, and it's tamed out with 2210 health, 1505 stamina, 698 weight, and 314 melee. Not overly impressed, I must admit. But anyway, it's a rinse and repeat job. Our door's now open for another one. We're going to go and search for another one. See you in a while. Well, I've managed to tame quite a few high-level snowy owls, but I do actually want to go out and tame a few more because I want to get a better sample. It's a case of I'm seeing, quite big differences in health, for instance. So it's a case of, yeah, if I get a few more, I might set my mind at ease a bit. Because I mean, I'm not really going to be breeding these sort of things for like boss fights or anything, but just because of the fact that there's quite a big difference, it's got me a bit puzzled, I must admit. So I want to get a few more just to see if I can get anything better than I've already got. But in the meantime, I thought I'd share with you some of the strategies I've been using. Because, I mean, in an ideal world, I mean, you'll go out there and you'll find a high-level snowy owl. And it's just, walking along the floor, or it's flying in the sky or whatever, and it's just, it's just basically on its own, minding its own business. But then you get to, like, situations like this. I mean, the next sort of, like, best thing is where you've just got one of these snowy owls that's attacking a specific, like, creature, ideally like a herbivore like this. these two of them, they're actually attacking the Megaloceros. So what I'm finding is, I mean, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to grab its aggro so that we can then drag it back to base. Because once you've got its aggro, that's it. It's just going to latch onto you, make life easier. Now, in this case, these have seemed to have decided to pick a different Megaloceros, so it's going to make my life a bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pick up this Megaloceros here. I can hear the battle music as we've just been hit by the snowy owl. Now I'm just going to let this thing hit me a few more times. I think it's just a little, I didn't want that looks like 20 or something. The idea is, as long as that keeps hitting me, it's transferring its aggro onto me. And then what I can do is I can just drop this Megaloceros, and that snowy owl should just stick to me like glue now. Yeah, see, it's now interested in me. So in this particular case, it's a lower level one, so 20, so I'll just be on here. Now, when you've got two of them stuck together, well, actually, those two have separated. Those two originally were attacking the same thing, but when you've got two of them together, obviously you've got to take one of them out. Just take it out with a long neck rifle, because they don't seem to be able to stand much damage, because they obviously don't have that much health to begin with. So they're pretty easy to take out. Because what I found is, I actually took back a 145 and there was a 20 in tow. I didn't think it would be that bad, but it actually, I mean, it was a case of Rainbow here. She almost bought the farm. I mean, that caused a lot of damage for her. It's a case of it took me longer to knock the both of them out with the trank darts because they were mate boosted, which made it even worse. So, you know, I wouldn't have thought of like a level 20 would be doing much. It was the fact that that was mate boosting the 145. So yeah, that was a big problem for them. So you never want to bring two of them back at the same time. But yeah, if you do get two of them stuck together, then you're better off just clearing them out basically. Keep one of them and just get rid of the clear one of them out and drag the other one back to base. Because like I say, once you get aggro on these things, life becomes a lot easier. Now the thing is, when you've got dinos like this, it doesn't really matter whether they're Daedons or wolves or saber-tooths, for instance. Ideally there's just one. If there's a pack, then if you just watch them, what I found is they go around quite a lot in a pack, and they'll just basically, the snow owl will just go round and round in a circle, and they just can't keep up most of the time. So you can sometimes tell which one it's actually interested in, and then you can go and attack it, or rather you can pick that specific dino up. If it's the wrong one, you can just clear it out, go back and try another one, and you know, usually you will be able to pick up the right one, and then that'll make life a bit easier. But it does get a bit complicated when you've got things like these big woolly mammoths, for instance, or the woolly rhinos, because you can't pick these sort of things up. In which case, well, what I found is just take it out with a long neck rifle, for instance, because if I go up too close and start attacking the woolly mammoth, that snow owl tends to be so close that I end up hitting the snow owl as well. I can take pot shots at it with darts, but trouble is it takes quite a bit to get the aggro onto you anyway. So it's easier, I find, is to take away whatever it's interested in. So you can either, you know, kill the actual woolly mammoth, for instance, with a long neck rifle, or if you're really bored, just start dropping things like the actual dire wolves or Daedons in its path, and they'll actually take the woolly mammoth out for you. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty easy. I mean, it takes a while. I mean, you've got to spend quite a while clearing out these things to be able to get high level ones in the first place. But one thing I will say though is, don't stick around in one area for too long. I did that by mistake, and I almost bought the farm because I went to get a drink. I stopped. I just literally, I mean, this area seems quite quiet at the minute. So I was having a look around, didn't see much, so I just literally parked the RG. Went away, came back, and I was just hanging on. I mean, I think I'd ended up being somewhere down there, for instance. You know, I was underwater. I only had just enough oxygen left. Fortunately, the RG was still intact, but this Managama had attacked me. Now, I managed to get back out of the water, back onto the RG, and it's a case of the Managama suddenly decided to have a bit of fun. There was hardly any health left for the RG after that. Which brings me to the next tip, which is make sure you go away. Just leave the area once you've lost aggro, if you can. because those managamas are like the snow owls, they will pretty much hang on to you. Assuming you can get away from the area, then your best bet is make sure you fully heal up your RG then before you even think of coming back. Because I went back to the area because I'd spotted a 135 snowy owl. I went back there and the same managama decided to have a bit more fun with me. The RG almost, it was just hanging on. I was really lucky there. But yeah, I'd say that's definitely a tip for me. Is just don't hang around areas and don't come back again. At least for a while anyway. It's not in your interest. So I think what I'm going to do is fight the underbelly. This one, I mean, it's a 120 female. I really like the underbelly more than anything. Even the colours alone probably worth this one. Because what I tend to go for is like 120 upwards. Just trying to get my bearings. Where are we? Where's the upwards? There it is. Right, are you interested still? I think I'll try and drag this one back to base. Oh, back I should say, once I get my bearings. I'll tame this one up, because what I'm finding is it doesn't really matter whether I'm using the superior kibble or whether I'm using the extraordinary kibble. My taming settings are set to 6. And I'm finding that these particular snow owls, they're just taming up so quickly it only takes 2 kibble. And the first bite is about 70+%. I don't get that with other dinos, so it seems to be unique to these. They eat so quickly, but it's having such a big effect on these that it's really quick to tame. So yeah, I think the hardest challenge is literally finding the high level ones. And then it's a case of, getting the aggro, because once you get the aggro, it's pretty much a walk in the park after that. So anyway, I'm going to get on with taming some more of these snowy owls, and then once we're finished, I'll bring you back and we'll have a bit of a comparison of all the ones we've got. See you in a while. Well, these are all the snow owls that we've tamed. The levels vary quite a bit. I mean, we're going from like 120s all the way up to 150s. Although I must admit, this one here, I actually bred this one more for the colour of the belly. I think it was just sheer look, it was a 120. But the rest, I mean, I was going after as, well, basically as best stats as I could find. And they do vary quite a bit. I mean, if we go over to this female here, she's actually got the best health, which is 3250. And that's actually higher quite a lot, I must admit, because most of these are in the 2000s, the low 2000s as well. So I think that was a lucky find. And she's not a she's not 224, so she wasn't at 150 tame. Now this dude here, on the other hand, he's got the best melee, which is 378, and he's got the best topo. Now normally I'm not really too fussed about topo. It tends to be the same, but what I found with these snow owls, it does vary. So it's a case of, I thought, well, I may as well take advantage of it and get the best that I can. Now, we've then got this male here. He's got the best weight, which comes out at 697, almost 698. So he was a 150. And then we've got this female here. She's actually got the best stamina, which is 1610. I mean, the rest are normally in the 1500s. I mean, curiosity, well, yours is 1435, 1505, so yeah, I mean that's a pretty good stamina compared to the rest of them anyway. But the plan is, I mean, we've got 4 different dinos to pull all of these different stats up now, so I'm going to be doing that breeding off camera, and I'll keep the rest of them anyway because it's a case of I need them for their pellets anyway. There's no particular reason not to. What colour we end up with is anybody's guess, and I must admit, down here in was it Creator Forest? Well, it's called the Underforest, this particular area. Go somewhere else and it'll be called Creator Forest. But yeah, the colours will vary and they don't particularly look particularly well in this light. I've actually turned the gamma up just so you can see a bit better, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what we get. I'm not too fussed about mutations or anything. I just want to get a day-to-day owl that we can get about with, used to heal and what have you, because that comes in extremely handy. So as I say, I'll do all the breeding off camera. I'll keep them all just for the sake of the pellets, and just to make my life easier, I've actually got it already getting automated. So if you just head down into here, I've actually got this aggregator here turned on, and what that's actually doing is it's already collecting. I mean, I started off with just like a few of these owls, and went back to do some more taming. We're up to 50 already, so we're doing really, really well, I must admit. What this thing's doing is it's actually gathering owl pellets, and it's going to gather gacha crystals as and when I get some gachas. And when it comes to distribution, what it'll do is it's set up to actually send the gacha crystals to a cracker when I get one of those. But it'll also send the owl pellets off to the gachas. It'll always make sure that the gachas have got enough pellets to keep them going. But yeah, I must admit I really do like these owls. First time I played Extinction, I was really impressed with them. First time I played Extinction, I was really impressed with these things. I mean, I think they're just great. I mean, you can use them for other things. I mean, you can use them to, like, you know, basically knock a quetzal out of the sky and all sorts. They're extremely good. But I think the next thing we'll be doing once I've got all this sorted out is going after gachas, because, yeah, those things, they're just something else entirely. But of course, that's for another episode.